Hey guys, that was incredible. I hope you had as much fun out there as we did watching, and as much fun as the audience seemed to have out in the house tonight. So how did it feel on our Austin City on the stage for the first time ever? Huh?
Felt amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah, sounds great. I didn't notice everybody way up top until the lights shifted over. I was like, whoa, really cool. You know, getting to explore our abilities is so much fun. And the last album that we made, Jekyll and Hyde, was a pure exploration of the range of the band, from a swing tune to an electronic tune to a hard rock tune, all within the same project. So after doing that and kind of going as far as we could run that way and that way, this record was a lot of fun to just get back to just the 8 of us and our voices and what we can do intimately. And so when we set out to write this record, we wanted it to be the most personal one that we've ever written, about real things and real life and the things that mean a lot to us, and about our kind of struggles of this beautiful life that we have. But it definitely tears us away from people and things that we want to stay sometimes. So it's all a blessing, but it's we try to capture that in Welcome Home and try to get back to the foundation, which was the first record that we made, which is a little more purist approach. But I enjoy the ability as an artist to being able to paint in as many colors as we want and whatever kind of canvas that we want. And this one just seemed more of a smaller picture for an album. Sometimes I get choked up, big time.
It's weird. Like everybody's had kids, and Clay and I recently just had kids like 8-9 months ago. So our kids are 2 weeks apart. And so Zach's got 5 kids. Jimmy's now got 4. Hop's got 3. And Zach's oldest kid is 10 years old. And so forever I would go out on the road and would not really want to come back home. And these guys would be, kind of getting torn up about being away from their 1 or 2 year old. This was 6-7 years ago or whatever. And I just couldn't really put myself in that place because I didn't really want to go home. And then I met my wife, and it gave me a reason to want to come home. And now I have a kid, and these songs that we've been playing, and especially on this album, like 2 Places at One Time, it's like, wow, man, when I play that song, I start putting myself in. There's a part of you that just yearns to go out and connect with people playing music because this is who you are and what you do. And then there's a place that as soon as I shut that door, leaving my 9-month-old at home, I'm like, is this the right thing that I need to be doing, Like, whoa, this is heavy, man. So it's there's definitely a lot of duality to it, I guess, which is great for music and tough for life sometimes.
So Ben and Nico, I've been writing with Nico for a long time, and for about 10 years, and I just started writing with Ben when we did the Jekyll and Hyde record. He was actually an engineer in my studio, and the more I hung out with him, the more I realized that he was talented, and that in his writing and his composition and his music theory and in his programming. He's one of the fastest engineers I've ever seen, just really good. But then we all started just liking to hang out with each other too. So we took several journeys to write this record. We took 2 trips to Alaska to go and write and just be in nature and be in a place that's really inspiring, and sit out by the fire and stare at glaciers and work on this record. But those guys are great soldiers, and they come and travel on the road with us, and they'll be riding on my bus, and I get done with the show, and I come in, and they've been in there grinding, coming up with ideas, they're coming up with things, and that's really kind of our witching hour between midnight and 5 a.m. to work on music and write on the road. And those guys are so talented and so much fun too. It's just fun being in that collaborative kind of spirit, because I'm definitely a congregal person, if you can't tell by the 100 and something people we have around us at all times. But it literally feels like we're Vikings, like on a ship together, and everybody's laughing and just hauling ass down the road.
To it.
It is that, yeah. Somebody has to say at the end of the day, we're going to go this way. We're going to pick this idea, and that's my role. But these guys have been amazing about just kind of trusting me, and I want to get the best. When there's no ego involved, you really get the best result. And so if you can have a sounding board, and it took a little bit of time for all of us to kind of, all as leaders and all as lions, basically, to kind of lay down in the same den together and realize that the song is the master, and we're here to serve the song, and whatever the best gifts that we can bring together to make that happen, it gets the best result. But they learn to trust me too. Like we all trust each other.
We're also really good at giving each other space. Like, you know, when an idea kind of gets caught up, everybody's good at taking a step back and looking at it objectively, and that's a learned thing, I think.
There's not a lot of competition either. Like even between Clay and I, who play a lot of the same instruments, like we play totally different from each other. So people ask us, how do you know which one's going to do this or whatever? And we'll just look at each other and go, you're probably going to be better at that than I am. And then that person, if it doesn't work out, then the other one gives it a shot or whatever. There's not a lot of competition. There's a lot of support, between each other. And there's also, everybody's got their specific thing that they're really good at. And then that's kind of something that the other person's not so good at. And if you start spinning it around, everybody's got really strong strengths that are kind of the opposite person. So we kind of fill the void in each other to a certain degree creatively and, musically.
We've been doing this a really long time, as individuals. And if we were in our early 20s, this would have never worked.
It's true.
Amen to that.
It's true. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it's a family.
Well, this is also for everybody. What was it like working with Dave Cobb as producer?
He's one of us.
Yeah, he's a Georgia boy. It didn't take very long for the same jokes that we were, talking about in high school or whatever that are ingrained in us. For him, he was like, that's the same joke that I told, kind of thing. So a lot of the sense of humor and musical background was the same. And he's kind of a gear nut like us, so he's really into guitars and amps and microphones and all that stuff. So, and he's done a bunch of really great stuff, man. His track record is really amazing.
He kept the momentum going too, whereas in the past we might have gotten fixated on a part or a tempo or something like that. He would just say, no, that's not important. Let's just keep the momentum going and keep creating and keep moving forward. And that was something that we hadn't really had a lot in the past.
We put a lot of trust in him, though. Kind of looking back on it now that it's all over with, because it happened so fast. It was, 6-7 days?
6 days.
And we normally go and spend like a week or 2 weeks in an isolated location with just the band, get all these songs totally together. We got them down. Everybody goes home for a week or two. We get all our parts together, and we go in the studio and we just like knock it down. And then we creatively kind of adjust from there on the arrangements. Whereas he didn't want us to do that process this time. He wanted to just come in with kind of rough ideas, and he would mold them from that. And like kind of looking back on it now, it's like I can't believe we actually did that,
Yeah.
I think because the songs are so personal that he wanted to get the feel of the songs and have it come from the heart rather than overthink each song.
When the right part or the right lyric hits, we all know it. There's no disputing it then. It's like, that's it.
Yeah,
and we had those moments with Dave, a lot of them that were great. So last year or last couple years, we've had a small choir and horns, which is fun to have the big band. But this record being more intimate, when we ended up recording, there's a lot of these songs that only have like 3 or 4 of us on the songs. So we wanted it to be really intimate. And so this year for the tour, we brought Daryl Scott out with us, who's one of my favorite musicians all time, maybe my favorite songwriter, troubadour, period. And so he opens the show. We've had an amazing girl, Caroline Jones, out opening the show too, which we added later. But Daryl playing in the band too is so versatile. So whatever instrument is not being covered, because like Clay plays pedal steel, we don't use it a lot, but when Daryl's using that pedal steel or Clay is, so we have another guy that literally plays everything and sings like crazy low bass. And so it's a more intimate stage. It matches the album. It's still big, but it feels intimate. And there's 9 of us on stage instead of 15, and it's fun, man. It's fun getting to explore and having our fans follow us. Our most of the shows are sold out this year, and it's just great being able to explore, but still give it everything we got, because we want to make sure when we come back to your city that the show's going to be different than it was the last time we came. The setup, the production, the ideas, the way it moves and flows, and our dedication to our live touring is really what we do. That's really our.
This might be the best production that we've ever done, in my opinion. When I turn around and look at certain times, I'm like, man, that's perfect. Zach spent a bunch of time with a videographer, I guess is what you would call him, going to Alaska and filming these certain scenes, and those are what's played behind the background, you know. And those are like kind of hand-picked images that play, and they really hit a vibe, man. And every once in a while I'll turn around and, you know, and see these like, you know, helicopter skate Alaska glacier, you know, images or whatever, and you're just like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, they'll tell you that, you know, that they're kind of the litmus test. And used to be we'd play a song out live for 6 months before we'd record it. But now with YouTube, the first time you play that, it's out there in the world. No matter how terrible the recording or whatever it is, and no matter how terrible you played it that first time. So it was really great being able to play all these songs because we'd had them done for 6 or 8 months before we went to play. So that was super fun. And, you know, we can feel it if it's really working or if it's not. And we try to keep the things that are. But everybody's response on this album has been amazing. The crowd's gotten it. This is more, you know, dialed down album, you know. Especially the cover we picked was the Prime tune that I love so much. That
The hardest thing these days, and it's a good problem to have, is we have so many songs that we want to play. It's more about leaving songs off, the songs that we don't want to leave off the set. That's the hardest part. You know, we've been doing this 13 years, but we recorded a bunch of albums, so there's so many songs we want to play, so that's the hardest part.